right here on this stage on the Mark Twain Riverboat, Louis Armstrong, the jazz legend Louis Armstrong, played right here. When the ride first opened, it was called the Mark Twain Steamboat. Now it's just called the Mark Twain. The Mark Twain weighs 150 tons. It's 105 feet long and it's 28 feet tall. It's a 5/8 scale riverboat, designed after the riverboats that went up and down the old Mississippi. Old Mississippi. Old Miss. Oh, Mississippi. Tokyo Disney has their own Mark Twain boat. It's so large that it's required to be registered as a true nautical vessel. Now, Disneyland Paris, they had two. They had the Mark Twain and the Molly Brown, but their Mark Twain caught on fire. So now all they have is the Molly Brown. Hey!
I watch you guys.
You do?
Yeah.
We're filming a video all about Mark Twain, the secrets revealed today. So, a common misnomer about the Mark Twain is the crowns is where the steam comes out. That's not true. The steam actually comes out at the back of the boat. The exhaust comes out with the crowns. And the paddle wheel really propels the boat, 100%. The Mark Twain has 4 levels. The top level is the pilot house, or also known as the wheelhouse. The third level is called the promenade deck. There's lots of vintage photos and maps on this particular floor. The next floor is called the Texas deck, or also known as the sun deck. It's a nice place to relax in the shade. The bottom level is called the main deck. And that's where they have the steam room and the boiler. It's the little details that you don't notice. So if you notice these lamps here, they sway back and forth. That's because if the boat was swaying, these lamps would stay perfectly centered like this because they had flames in it and they didn't want to catch fire. So they would make this so they could like bevel, swivel bev. I don't know what that means, but that's what they could do. How cool is that? When the ride first opened for the first few years, they would serve non-alcoholic mint juleps on the ride. How amazing does that sound? I still kind of wish they did that. I'd be like, mint julep please, mint julep. Ah, it's so good. The reason they don't serve those drinks anymore is the state of California, for health code, requires you to have running water. The Mark Twain does not have any running water on it, so no more drinks, which is a shame because can you imagine being here and having a nice mint julep? Oh, it'd be delicious. Also, if you turn the camera that way right there, you can see Director Ryan. I love mint juleps. Almost as much as Amanda. Not quite, almost. The Mark Twain is actually a river term. It means that the river is deep enough for a boat to go across. Twain means two. It's a medieval word meaning two. So Mark II, Mark Twain, means you're at the proper depth for a riverboat. Acclaimed American author Samuel Langhorne Clemens wrote such books as Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. He adopted the pen name of Mark Twain because when he was younger he worked on a riverboat and he liked the sound of it and hence named himself Mark Twain. So now you know. For the Mark Twain, there is no height requirement. Anybody can ride the ride, no matter how tall you are, all the way from Shaquille O'Neal to a little tiny baby. They all can ride this ride. No height requirement.
Are you gonna go drive the boat? Let's go.
All right, let's go.
Hey, come on this way. You gonna see your knock, please? All right, let's go. This is amazing.
Okay, so here we are in the captain's quarters of the pilot house, and the cast members who steer the ship are known as pilots. You might have an opportunity to be up here. The cast members will randomly select people to come on up here, so you never know if you get chosen. It's a really lucky treat, so fingers crossed you might get chosen.
I right, so this book you can sign if you get to come up here, and this book is actually archived, so it's kept forever.
So here I am with Marley. Marley is piloting the Mark Twain today. And Marley, you just did 2 whistles.
Yes.
Boop, boop. Why 2? What does that mean?
Tells people to get out of the way.
Tells people to get out of the way.
Bigger than the rest of the river traffic.
Bigger
They
than
gotta move.
They gotta move. And does it also communicate down to the boiler room to to go forward?
Not these bells. We have a separate bell that you may have heard, a little tiny ding ding.
Yeah.
That's what tells the engineer to stop.
Oh, the little. So if you hear a little ding ding, that means we're going forward.
Yeah.
The big bong bong.
Yeah.
That is just clear out.
Yep.
I don't want to ruin the illusion, but it is on a track. It's on a track, so that way it goes through for safety reasons. Now the river is actually has dye in it to hide the track. It's true. So it's not really being steered by anybody. This wheelhouse here, this wheel is amazing, but it doesn't really do anything. But it makes me feel powerful.
Got it? It's mile sized.
Yeah. Oh.
Say hi. I hope you enjoy your lunch. Do I turn it this way?
No, you turn it this way
Oh.
so you don't hit the trees.
Oh, okay, so turn it this way so you don't hit the trees.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the pilot's job is to keep an eye on the river. They're really the eyes and the ears of the river. If they see something, you have to communicate that down to the boiler room to let them know to slow down or to speed up if they needed to do that. The Mark Twain travels at 2 knots. I don't know if that's 2 knots per hour or just 2 nautical knots, but anyways, if you want to know how fast it's going, it's 2 knots. K-N-O-T-S, knots. Marley, I was told that Louis Armstrong played here on the Mark Twain. Is that true?
It is true. In 1964, he joined us on the Mark Twain and played some music for us.
Can you imagine that? That would be like the Beatles coming right here, just like playing it. Like, hey, I'll just play here, the Mark Twain. How amazing is that? Hey, Marley's here to help me if I get this right. There was a guy, he was called a leadsman, and he had a lead weight on a leather strap.
Yes.
And the leather strap, every foot, there was a mark, right? And he would lower that weight into the river, and every 6 feet would equal 1 fathom, correct?
Yes.
And if you hit 2 fathoms, that's called a Twain, a Mark Twain.
Yes.
And that's how they know when the boat was safe to go on the river, is deep enough when you hit Mark Twain. Oh my gosh, that's like a dream come true. I've always wanted to do that.
You can put your name on it too, and I can give you guys one.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much. You know how to write your name yet?
M-I-L-E-S.
Perfect. You're welcome, Miles.
On the Mark Twain, they have the captain's quarters, and they have a replica bed for the captain. And there's many pictures of Walt Disney here. The flag of the Mark Twain only has 38 stars because that is the flag that would have been on the Mark Twain when it was operating on the Mississippi River. For those of you with really sharp eyes, sometimes you can find like little bobby pins like this on the deck. This is from Fantasmic. This one would have been used by Alice. There is a little bit of forced perspective on the Mark Twain. These railings on the 3rd level are a little bit lower than on the other 2 levels. Take a look, see? Right here. And now we'll measure on the next level down. I'm keeping my hand right there where it is. See? That way, it makes it look like the boat is much taller than it really is. Okay, so we're on the promenade deck. And on the promenade deck towards the front, you'll notice these 2 white, large columns. This is where the exhaust goes out. They run 1 per day. So this one right now, if your hands are on it, you feel it's very warm. This one over here,
There's a good chance we might catch a
it's
glimpse
cold
of
because
you.
they're not running it today. Tomorrow they'll run this one, and then that one will get a day off. Plus, right here, this right here is where the steam comes up for the whistle. It's It's amazing. We start looking around the Mark Twain, you realize, oh my gosh, everything has a function. This is a steam-powered ship, and right behind me is the boiler room. That's where they make all the steam. They heat it up, the water turns into steam, the steam is funneled through, makes it powered, goes right down to the engines, and makes that giant paddle wheel turn. This can get really hot. So during the wintertime, if you get cold, if you stand right next to it, you're like, oh, it feels so good. In the summertime, avoid it because it's hot. There are 2 steam engines. They're 4 feet long with 16-inch pistons. Each steam engine produces 40 horsepower for 80 horsepower total to spin that giant paddle wheel. Coming up to the canoes, and you know I love the canoes. The canoes are so great. They're the friendliest guys there. I can see Kyle, hey, the canoes. Elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist, wrist. Wipe a tear, blow a kiss. Right there, they got the brand new rabbit canoe. Right there, you see it? It's refurbished, it looks gorgeous. It's amazing. Ride the rabbit canoe. Request it. Right behind me, coming up, is the Gollywumper. This is a keel boat. It used to be a real boat ride on the rivers of America, and in 1999, this boat right here, that one, actually tipped over with people in it. From that moment on, they've never run that boat ever again. And this boat was in 2 movies, 2 Davy Crockett movies, The River Pirates and Davy Crockett's Wildest Frontier. Davy Crockett in the Wild Frontier. That boat, we just passed it. It's a real boat. It tipped over. Look right there, you can see a celebrity, Justin Bieber. Puns. That right there is a refurbished animatronic. It used to be Abraham Lincoln. Seriously, Honest Abe, right there. So if you want to sit down on the Mark Twain, you can do that on the lowest level. There's some benches here, and at the front there's some chairs. Or on the 3rd level, they have some benches up there, like that little areas to sit down. That's the only areas that you can sit down on the boat. So I would suggest if you want to sit down, come get on early and sit down. Relax, fun. It's nice, it's cool, it feels good. This attraction is actually 3 days older than Disneyland. It was launched on July 14th, 1955 for Walt and Lily's 30th anniversary. They had their party here. Can you believe it? What a great place to have an anniversary party. On September 24th, 1995, the one and only wedding happened here on the Mark Twain. Ed Sullivan, who was a 50-year veteran at Disney, his daughter was married here on the Mark Twain. When they went around, they exchanged their vows, they pulled a thing, and it unfurled, just married. It's the only time that will probably ever happen. And Ed, he dressed up as, who else but Mark Twain for the wedding. The Mark Twain opens, it starts running when Disneyland opens. It usually closes around 5:45 at night because they have to prepare for Fantasmic. Now, if Fantasmic is not running, then the Mark Twain will run all night long until the park closes, and they have a spotlight that will highlight all the different things, and it's beautiful at nighttime. So, if you don't have Fantasmic, do the Mark Twain. The Mark Twain has a capacity of 350 people. A funny story about the Mark Twain, though, is when the park first opened, they didn't know what the capacity was, and this was a very popular attraction. They loaded it up to about 500 people, and they all got in one side, and they were waving, and the boat started to list, and it became derailed. Derailed. Wow. Ever since that time, they have a maximum occupancy of 350 people. Usually, it's rare if it ever gets more than 150 people on the boat, though. Waving at everybody. Disney, like the happiest place on earth, right? Hey! The ride takes anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes. It departs from the dock every 25 minutes. It can make anywhere from 18 to 25 laps in a day, depending on Fantasmic, of course. Joe Fowler was the supervisor that was in charge of building the Mark Twain. He had a lot of naval experience, and he told Walt when they were building it, we need a dry dock to assemble everything. And they're like, oh, well, we don't need that, but they really did need it. So they ended up building a dry dock, and they use it, and guess what? It is now called Fowler's Cove. That's where they store the Columbia at night. And there's nice little gumbo and shrimp things to get there. It's kind of like a little hidden area that most people overlook, but it's very important for the Mark Twain and the Columbia to have a dry dock so they can repair it if they need to. This part right here is for the anchor. It's a perfect replica. They used to have these things here like this, and that's how they would lower the anchor. You'll notice right here they have these little cleats. That way it wouldn't roll backwards. But because the Mark Twain has no anchor, there's no sticks to move it. So we talked a lot about this video about mint juleps and the Mark Twain. If you want to see another video about mint juleps and tasty drinks and beverages here at Disneyland, go ahead and click right here. You guys know the drill by now. Go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that little notification button. And every Wednesday we got a new video. We're trying to do all kinds of new things. We got new merchandise, we got Patreon parties, all kinds of fun things. Click the links down below to learn more and have a magical week, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.